Right, so we're back. So last time, um, last stream I did was on Thursday, and it was the first proper stream. So, yeah, basically that was a bit of crack. Anyway, came up with this little jam here. I'm just gonna throw on the headphones for a second, but this was just basically it was like similar enough to how I come up with most of my, I suppose most of my tracks really like. Get that down there now. Um, so yeah, like there was a lot of that was done in the first hour, which was kind of, in my opinion, kind of how that kind of thing should be done anyway. Now, I did rewatch it, and I was kind of like watching it again. I was like, yeah, there's a couple of things there that weren't great, like, but all I suppose all of it does really is just emphasize the fact that perspective is a really good thing to have when you're making tunes, because if you try to finish a track in one go, you are working off that initial kind of a energy you get off it, but that energy is brilliant, and most of the best music will come from that, in my opinion. But that being said, taking a week off or even a day off of a piece of music you're working on is really beneficial, because yeah, well, I suppose it just gives you that perspective, really. Now, just before we do go on and kind of create more for this song, or we'll see what we'll try and do with it, maybe get an arrangement out of it today, but have an hour to do it, so you should see a bit of progress. But I'd like to just run through a couple of things that I didn't do the other day. So anyone who watched the first stream and then watches this one will have a fair idea of the entire kind of project that we're using and all that as well. It's OBS. Cool. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to address was the sends and the return channels here, right? So we're using the room. So I did go through what each one was. We had a room, reverb. I'll just drag these over so we can see what they say. So room reverb's the first one. I'm using this Verb Suite. Is this from the Slate Digital plugins? That I did look it up. It's not the everything bundle anymore. It's the all access pass, it's called. Which as I said, sounds great. Everything is brilliant except for the fact that it's all verified by iLock Cloud, which can unfortunately crash your projects and render some of them unusable. So you have to migrate your stuff out of them, or in my case, go and find the ALS file in your Finder and then open it from that. So yeah, look, the iLock stuff aside, the Slate stuff is brilliant. Whether or not you're into the whole subscription model, it's up to you. I kind of like it. It's suits me, financially anyway, But yeah, like I guess I just must have picked this preset here and just probably tweak some of it. Like I left the EQ, like 3-band EQ there. I didn't really touch it, like, so it's slightly boosted highs, but I do like to, obviously now, right, sorry, just to clarify this, obviously you'd have on your sends, you'd have your wet all the way up as well, just in case anyone here who's used to using reverbs as an insert effect, which beginners tend to do a lot of the time. Your dry wet, you'd be doing, in that sense, you'd be kind of dialing it in and you'd be finding the sweet spot, whereas in this case you're sending your signal to a fully wet return channel, so all that comes back through this is the wet sound. So to get the correct amount of reverb, instead of doing anything with this, you're sending just the level A here with that. So that's just a brief explanation for anyone who was wondering. Okay, so that I just put a EQ after it, low pass, high pass, just get rid of the mud, so I can send my full drum kit to it without worrying about the kick kind of giving off like sub-frequency reverb, which is just, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's probably a time where it'll be great and all that, but 9 times out of 10, if you're making something like house or something more conventional than say anything like ambient or experimental, you're gonna probably want to be rolling off the low and high ends of a reverb anyway. I would extremely I'd find that, like, when I started doing that, everything just kind of started to make a bit more sense. So yeah, that's cool. Next one is a long verb, it's called. So it's just reverb with a bit more decay on it. Different plugin, same bundle though, comes with the all access pass lustrous plates. Pretty nice. I really like it anyway. It gives a nice kind of clean reverb. That's kind of what I'm after, is just clean. I don't really want the big long tails or anything like that, but just something that doesn't get in the way of everything else. So again, low pass, high pass, just cleans it up. Mono delay here. So yeah, the mono delay is by Kilohertz. Kilohertz are deadly, really cool, little, very easy on CPU. They're grand, like, they really are straightforward, and the very simple user interface like this, like there's not a whole lot going on, so there's not a whole lot that can go wrong. This one is set to mono. As you can see, I've ping pong turned off. Mono this would be more for my vocals. I might throw something through it there, like a lead kind of thing, when I want it to have a bit more space, but I don't want it to sound like far away or spacey and lengthy like they would off the long reverb and that. Long delay, repeater, very cool. This is from the Slate bundle as well. It's actually a really nice delay, and it has lots of different kind of parameters within this that you can go to some serious extremes with. Sometimes you can actually use this as like a stereo imager as well. It's pretty crazy kind of a delay, and the really interesting thing with it, right, is you see these are linked here. So see the link button is, it's on for these feedback and our delay time, right? So basically they're linked so that it's all sounds in time. But if you wanted to, you can unlink them, and then you can have like your left and right slightly longer, slightly, whatever, like, now let's see. These are interesting, actually. See how many undos does it take to get us back to, like, funny thing with these plugins, right? So the undo I've done there, I just did a load of undoing, right? And unfortunately it didn't link these, even though I was obviously turned on and off link. But another thing that comes with this is that if I automate my feedback left, even if I've link turned on, it actually won't affect the right. So link is kind of like, this plugin is cool and it's great, but like there's definitely some bits that are like, why doesn't that happen, So, why can't you automate both of these at the same time rather than one at a time? Now, you can obviously just automate one, copy and paste to the other automation lane, that's fine, but like, just kind of a weird thing, I thought. Chorus, probably Ableton's chorus, I'd say. Oh no, Kilohertz again. Yeah, Kilohertz are cool. Again, looks so simple, like that's all you can do. It's a chorus that just has very limited parameters, so can't go too far wrong. Little bit of a compressor after it. Like, the way you should treat the returns, in my experience, is the same as you should treat any of your input channels. Like, ideally, and like this is something that's hammered home a lot, is that like the source is the king, so that's what our lecturer used to say. And like, he means that if you are capturing something like, for example, a guitar, your mic choice, mic placement, and the room you're in, and the player itself, like they're the source, right? That's being captured by whatever tools you have to do with the best way possible, say, right? Now, the stuff that comes after that is like fixers, is what I'd call them, like I'd call like an EQ, a gate, and compressor, like they're tools, like, so if you have a sound, like if you used a microphone that's dynamic range is too much, captures way too much low end in a vocal or something, and you end up high passing it, then in theory, like, you shouldn't really have probably used that mic, or you should have placed it slightly differently, or there's always a kind of an alternative to then going and EQing your channel, right? So if you can try and make what comes in the first place as good as possible, then you shouldn't have to EQ it. There shouldn't be any dynamic issues at all, which would be fixed with a compressor. And gating is the same. Now, gates are kind of different, like in that you only bang a gate on if you really need it, and that tends to be with percussive instruments, so you could have a full drum kit, and like there's no way you're not going to spill onto another mic when you're mic and a drum kit, because they're all just in such close proximity to each other. So a gate is like necessary in that sense, but some might argue that your initial gain in the first place is what's gonna determine how much spill you get onto your mic, and that's fair. But that being said, look, a gate, in my opinion, is kind of like a functional thing. EQs and compressors, as I said, are the same, but they're kind of not to be going on too much here without the music, but look, the EQs and compressors, they can color your sound as well, to the point where and look, gates can be used to as an envelope or a transient kind of tamer. So there's all sorts of alternative uses for these effects, but essentially those three things would be the main tools I'd use. Finally, saturator channel here is just this Hollywood from Slate, and then the virtual tape machine from Slate again. And I'm sending like kind of a lot of stuff to that. So you'll see like if you're not an Ableton user, you'll see I have 6 ends here. I have 6 knobs underneath. So 6 ends going left to right, 6 knobs, A to F. And essentially as much as I want to send of this audio channel to the send, I do. The send then comes back through this channel to my master. That's how it works, right? So what I'll do is I'll play a bit of what we listened to what we made the last day, and we'll just see what happens. I'm probably gonna talk you through that, and then I'll take the headphones off, and I'll get back into the creative side of things, and then finish that, talk you through what we did, and then we'll see where we are for the next day then. So so look, I'll just press play here. Hopefully there's not too big a volume jump there now. Okay, so first thing I will say is that saxophone thing I was doing. There's definitely some use there, like something will come of that. But it's very much just one sax thing doing its thing. So just very quickly, I'm just going to put it in time. So I had it on like that 1E, and it didn't do much for me. Yeah, kind of, I don't know. We might come back to that sample. I'm going to mute it for now anyway. Okay, so the drums. Just have a quick listen here. Okay, so the drums here are they're 2 instruments. So one is the 808, one is the 909. Is that all? Oh, I have like a kick sample there that I use as well. So that's layered. I might talk you through that in a second. So I've got the 909, the kick sample, and the 808 here, right? So what I'll do is I'm just going to make our sends. Get the camera back. Make sure there we are. And just get these nice and small. Okay. Down there. And now we just want you to be able to see all of the drum tracks here. Okay. So these are the instruments. I'm just going to group these 3 together. The rest are audio. So these 3 at the front, say, are all where the sound is being generated, and they're being monitored through these ones, bar or kick sample, which is coming through itself there. So okay, so there is the 909, the kick sample, which I'll just rename, and the 808. So our 808 it's actually not doing anything there. Now, I remember from the last day I checked this out, and I'd forgotten to actually bring the MIDI out of the sequence, and I'm just going to bring that up there now. So, okay. And as you can see here, what I might do as well, just to color code this, is make this gray, like our 909. Slightly off gray maybe, and then I'll make this black, like our 808. So, and then we leave that rogue kick sample alone there. Okay, so you can see here, these are our 3 channels for the 808 stuff coming through. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the 909 first of all anyway. So mute. Okay, so now all we're hearing is our kick sample and our 808s kit here right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to our plugin, go to option, go to position lock to DAW, turn that off. So that means that when I start and stop my DAW, it doesn't actually start and stop the sequence. What you're actually seeing here light up is the MIDI notes from the MIDI channel itself running through this. So if I actually stop this and press play, nothing comes through. But when I start this, you see it coming through there. Now, another way to do that would be just to go edit and then go to our particular sequence and just clear it. And then everything that's playing in the actual plugin sequencer is just deleted. And what you're hearing then is just what's on this one. MIDI channels. So okay, so there's a few channels in here that are like not doing anything. Like I'm only using 3, and I can see very clearly that there's like 9 or 10 going on here already. So basically that stuff I don't really need to look at for now anyway. But the main thing is our 808 pattern is in our drum kit right now, and we can't hear it because we're monitoring in. Is that right? Oops, wrong one. Okay, and for some reason that's muted my 808s here, so don't know why. Bit of troubleshooting on stream, nothing better. This is the funny thing with the plugins that we're using here. Let's clear that. Going on there. I might just restart this, bring it back to where we were the other day. That was weird. I'm going to put that down to Gremlins, and that's that. Okay, reopen Ableton. Now you're going to see again how slow this is to open on my computer. Even though like I've got a pretty like it's a really fast laptop, but we're talking 32 gig RAM, 8 core processor. But that's the lovely combination of our plugins opening on our default, along with the iLock Cloud, which is just, don't have much good to say about it, unfortunately. If you're on anything but like I'm even on, actually I'm Ethernet right now. I'm just wired into my router here, and it's still hassle. Like it doesn't even matter quality of internet from my experience. Is just gone rogue for some reason. Okay, I'm gonna lose this, do some troubleshooting, keep going. Okay, so you should now be hearing me and the 909. So yeah, the problem was I had this filter on it, which was filtering everything, but because some of it's going to the send and some isn't, that's where it threw me off. So yeah, that's the problem. But anyway, what I'll do is I'll bring this back up. Jacks now. So what we do is we will clear our A and so back to it. So that's the drums. I'll kind of revisit that in a second. The bass line was this Anna 2 synth, which is pretty cool. Now I remember I was listening back to it and I had this kind of other pattern going. One thing that's a big thing with this synth is how really effective the velocity can be. So I have this, you see my velocity here for my filter. So basically what I have here is the harder I hit, the further my cutoff changes. So, you know, I have this on a low pass filter. So if I hit it quite with a heavy velocity, it will actually open up the filter a lot more than if I just actually barely touch the note, which is just can give some really cool effects and sounds and subtle variation. So a handy one. M1, which is doing that choir stab thing. There she is. The Das Moog sample, which is doing its thing as well. Just making sure I'm not making a bollocks of this. Alright, and then we have our 303 action. Our strings, which is the filter thing. What I might do here is I might duplicate this track without a filter and just keep it like a natural string. So get to that in a second anyway. And then this chop of the sax I took, which is not quite what I want yet, but you know, the idea is there. Okay, so that's all the tracks so far. You can see here there's nothing going on the arrangement at all. So yeah, it's pretty standard stuff as of now. But what I'll do is for the next maybe 25 minutes I'm going to do a bit of work on it in how I would tend to do it anyway, you know, like it'll be in, this is all pretty, I guess my workflow is kind of what you're seeing here. Like, this is nothing out of the ordinary. This is all how I just do it. So, you know, if it comes to the point where, you know, I do something out of the ordinary, I'll definitely mention it. But look, honestly, I start to track and they kind of go along this, you know, jam in the live session, get it into the arrangement in the live view, and then get that into the arrangement view then after. So, and then what I call my ear candy, kind of whatever you want to call it, those tricks and tips you do to make your stuff sound not boring and more real, which we'll get to do in the next few minutes. But I'm just going to take off the headphones and I am going to just work on this now. So feel free to comment away there. Right. Welcome back. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a, I suppose, not exactly as productive as I hoped it would go today, because I was experiencing what I thought were technical difficulties at the start, but were actually just my filter on my drums from before. So some of the stuff was going out through sends, which was audible. Some of it wasn't. That stuff that wasn't was then being filtered completely. So I basically thought there was some crazy routing glitch or something going on. But yeah, easy mistake to make, but obviously unless you spent 5 minutes looking at the project right before you started streaming, it wouldn't have happened, I suppose. But anyway, the good thing, I suppose, from that though is you would have noticed that I got to do the sub outputs here. So option sub output. So you would have seen me do that. That's where I created these sub outputs for the channels to go to individual audio channels. And each one of those individual audio channels are right here. So you'll see like tier 09, you select your audio from, yeah, that's what I want, and then you select which one it is here. Now each one of these are like kick, snare, toms, then hats and clap and all the rest, so they're in order, so you'd visually have to pick them out. They're not labeled or anything as like kick on 3 and 4, but it's not too difficult to kind of make out what they are, particularly when the meters are bouncing from. Yeah, see what I mean? So yeah, that's a handy thing you would have picked up from this that I didn't go through the last day. I kind of briefly mentioned it, right? But yeah, I actually did make that now, all because I had it made already, but all because I just didn't realize the filter was on. So yeah, other than that, the bass line wasn't touched, neither was none of that was really changed. I did create a new string channel without a filter on it. I'll probably delete a lot of that except for the breakdown. But yeah, we won't make any of those kind of decisions yet. I dropped in a couple of new M1 channels here. See these now. Yeah, so all based off the C# minor 9. Sorry there. All based off the C# minor 9 chord, which it's just true out. It's on multiple instruments. Like the chord doesn't change for the entire track really. If you do hear any chord changes, it's actually just inversions. So nothing major. Yeah, I kind of hope that I'd maybe get stuck into the arrangement today, but look, I'll be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for an hour every day. So what I don't get to do today will be done tomorrow. And what I'm thinking is, what I'll do is stop that anyway. What I might do is do this track with, say, all the way through. So initial concept right now, arranging next, and then once it's arranged, kind of dressing it up, making it interesting, putting in some kind of fills and subtle variation, as I said before. And then once I've that much done, it just goes to like a mixing process where I just do a bit of a mix on it, check it on other systems around the house. And then when that's finished, what I'll do is I'll put it off to a mastering engineer. I have a guy in Germany, Nick, his name is, he's written Monochrome Sound. Did a great job for me on that remix that I did the last time, so I'll probably go back to him again with it. And yeah, I'll put it up on Bandcamp, or it might be part of an EP. What I might do actually, once this is finished, this track, I might go through the other tunes that I have pretty much ready for an EP at the moment, and we'll go into finishing touches and stuff for all of them. Have a 4-tracker ready then for Bandcamp and all the rest. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it, lads. I think we're bang on the hour there, and look, we'll just play out what we have here. Cool. Okay, that's it. Yeah, we get to the arrangement tomorrow. I think I've pretty much added in most of the stuff there, and you might have seen here. I just worked down the right hand side here for my arrangement, so I kind of know the structure of it already. But again, a lot of that's subject to change after, as I said earlier, a bit of perspective. Give yourself a few days off. You might find that okay, maybe this build comes in too early, or the breakdown is not long enough, or something like that. So none of this is fixed, and that's the beauty of live and arrangement view and all that. So the live view here is really going to let me just come up with the ideas and in a very loose kind of way. Whereas then when I drop them into the arrangement view here, it becomes a bit more precise and a lot more visual as far as like chopping and changing sections goes. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. And yeah, if you do learn anything or like it, if you could share the channel or tell someone about it, or even check out the old Patreon there if you want to be a super sound cunt. But go on, cheers, thanks very much.